We still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications options. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters Fans Forum. Strangely on a Wednesday night, it means it's given the lads a little bit more time to reflect on that performance against Liverpool. Newcastle losing 3-2. And as always, welcome to you at home. Welcome to Geoff, to Darren, to George, to Magnus, to Allan, to Tom, Pablo, Martin and Kev. And no real news today. Still the usual stories being run about Alexander Isak. No news on the injury front either. Although it is suggested that maybe the injuries aren't as bad as expected. We haven't been given any indication by the club on that, but Sky have been running it for the last couple of hours that maybe the injuries to Tonali and Joelin aren't as bad. As for the incomings, well, we've had an outgoing. Matt Targett's moved to Middlesbrough on loan until the end of the season is now being confirmed. He will, of course, be out of contract next summer, so probably the last time we'll have seen Matt Targett in a black and white shirt. And Newcastle are expected to go back in with another bid for Jorgen Strands Larsen in the region of £60 million, but nothing as yet. But we'll keep you posted if anything happens over the next hour. We will let you know, but I thought we'd open with Geoff tonight because Geoff's always entertaining, to say the least, and he's going to have a big reveal as well, he says, but he's promised to keep his trousers on. Go on, Geoff.
Yes, well, yes. Somebody's dropped me in this here. I should have kept my mouth shut. Anyway, I came across a very interesting thing, a Premier League Panini sticker album. And I'm going to open this officially online and see who we could have won if we'd had lots more money, like Manchester United. Right, okay. Oh, official. Oh, look. We could have had Fraser Foster. Way! Someone I can't read called...
Can you do this?
Tresla Quellet.
How many did you get in the packet?
Kazoo, I don't know. We'll find out soon. There's somebody called James Justin. We've got a whole lineup here of people in red. They can. We've got a free something, and we've got a defender, Arsenal defender, and we've got Kieran Tierney.
I knew it was going to be him for some reason.
All the way from Scotland, that's where Tierney is coming.
And he's not even at Arsenal anymore.
No,
how old is this packet of stickers?
God knows. I found it down the back of the sofa.
Jesus.
And so it makes no difference, because I've got the striker solutions are pretty obvious, really.
Any silver foil ones, Geoff?
Somebody called Saar, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I believe, a coal field in Germany. Okay,
Geoff. What did you make of the game?
Sorry, what?
What did you make of the game?
It was fantastic. And what's the most interesting about it? We've now shown everybody in the league how easy it is to take them to bits. Right. We've shown that they're like a Panini sticker album. You know, they plop around all over the field and they do the thing that they're meant to do, maybe, but they're not very good at it, are they? Mo Salah was the only one who seemed to know what he was doing, and his radar was well off. Let's have a think now. I did actually make some notes. I thought one of their defenders was wandering around like he had a Glade butt plug in. Thing. And as for Slop himself, he's clearly a man who takes one jar of Swarfiga into the shower. I've got nothing against the Dutch generally, apart from Von Dick, because there's some fine prostitutes who've come from that part of the world. And as for the FA, they can foxtrot off Oscar, foxtrot Alpha, because the Victor Alpha Romeo can also foxtrot Oscar. Right, so foxtrot uniform to the FA, and I don't think Liverpool are going to survive long because they owe, as George will point out, $2 billion of pretend money. And soon enough, I don't know if you've seen the news. Have you seen those ankles? It's quite clear that the American president is pregnant. He's probably responsible is his Mekon, who's certainly somebody who's had Klingons off his pork bow by the look of him. Anyway, no amount of lube will get me through that story, and I think it's best we move on to somebody sensible like Darren.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Geoff. And there you are, Darren. He's called you sensible. What did you make of the game, mate?
I was buzzing, Stuart. For once, you can't complain I got beat. But give 110%. And I go and get something up, but to be fair, you can criticise him for getting the red card. But on the realistic thing, he was busting the good. He wanted it, didn't he? So it was good. Just the rookie scouts twats got to go at the end, unfortunately. But look, everybody from 1 to 11, fantastic. The subs, anyhow, he made some clever subs as well. He still went for it with a suit up cover and gave him a good 20 minutes. His goal well. To look at Tonali, they've done his shoulder, and he's playing with one arm. You know, he wanted to stay on. That's probably one of the best we gave us. See Gordon playing in not Gordon, Barnes. No, not Barnes. Bruno. The best game I see Bruno playing in a long time. He was up for it. He was hungry. He wanted it. Anybody, whoever played, done the job. You said that Chow looked good. It was just a good, positive. We got beat, but look at the crowd. The crowd clapped straight away, didn't it? Not one person booed, they all clapped. And that shows you the crowd were happy all day. We're competitive and give them the game. But it's the negative side. We're losing. We don't know on the injury front. Yeah, we could have Gordon's banned. All depends on Tonali. Joe Linton. Things our bench is looking very weak at the minute. And I know a lot of people say, each has cut. We had a being Tom Cook before. He blames Isak. I know he's going to say it. He mentioned it, but I totally agree with that. He hasn't played. He hasn't played for 2 games. You've got to get you're taking the credit from the players who play on the pitch. They're the ones who's doing the shit, who's been unlucky. In my opinion, the people that blame on Newcastle United. They knew Darren was going. They knew this one night was going. They haven't got them in place to get things up and running. So I look at the club. You can't expect anyhow they do 2 jobs, transferring things. You look how like Arsenal ran. New Spawn now, look at all the players they've got in. But to me, you've got to question the club. They might be a well-run club or they just cover people these Saudis. To me, they're not. I think they're not doing a good job at the minute. They need to book their jobs that way.
Any other points to make, Darren?
No, for once, Steve, I can't be negative about it before. I was looking positive, and that's seen a lot come from me. You know what I mean? Like I say, but we scrapped, we fought, we battled with them. Like Van Dijk, he's a whingy little twat, isn't he? Salah didn't touch the ball once. You think Newman stood up for them. They just got a lucky goal at the last kick of the game with a good taking goal of the young kid. Like, but we fought with them. We battled with them. They couldn't hack our physical thing. So I was happy, Steve. That's all I'd say.
Okay, Craig Hope running a line now that even if it's a £60 million bid, Wolves don't want to sell the player, so it looks as if our luck with buying centre forwards is going to continue over the next few hours, but we will see. George, a great game. We've seen some classics with Liverpool. I'm sick of last minute winners though.
Yeah, I mean that's the killer for everybody, but you can't be overcritical about how they played every one of them. It would be churlish to say man of the match, but for me, having been very critical of Bruno when he was first made captain, I've got to say that on Monday night he showed what a captain he's becoming. I mean, he was just everywhere, doing everything, geeing up everybody. I mean, and yes, he started to wave his hands at the crowd. Well, that's a time when he's entitled to do that because that was the only thing he was doing at one time. But now he seems to have worked out when it's right to do it, when it's not. No, so it's a bit churlish, but I have to say for me he was outstanding, absolutely. But they all could get man of the match. It was that kind of game. I thought Alanga put in a shift. They all did their level best, and to say that we were even in the second half with 10 men, we were the best team, which is something to say when you're playing the champions of Ireland. They're not the champions of England. There's the English within that team. Liverpool's the capital of Ireland, not the capital of England. Yeah, it was heartbreaking the way they lost it, but everything that they did just for me, it reminded me how I felt at the beginning of the season, during the close season. Everybody was saying how awful we were going to be, and all this has happened, and they've done this and they've done that. And, well, I tell you what, if my team had spent the money Liverpool had spent, and that's the best they could do against 10 men, I'd be really disappointed. I tell you. So it was just amazing the effort, the energy, and some of the play in the first half hour was just scintillating. I mean, they couldn't get near Gordon. That was the sad thing about him getting sent off. It was clear he was going to run them ragged, but yeah, they were just absolutely super. Other pluses were that when we lost Joe Linton, Tonali, and Shaw, and replaced them, had to come on. Well, Jacob Ramsey looks like a steal with what they paid for him. And the new centre half, well, he was as cool as cucumber. I mean, like somebody said earlier, I was surprised that he didn't send Botman on. Well, when he got on, you would never have noticed because he was as cool as cucumber in a white atmosphere like that. So he'll do me. So it was just great to be there, great to be part of it. The crowd surpassed itself again, and I think it was Tom said before in the green room that they measured the highest ever decibel level at the ground at all. And I think it was 123 decibels that was measured, and I'm not surprised because some of the things that the cheers were absolutely out of this world. And the other good thing for me was that every time Liverpool fans tried to take the mickey or get one of their songs going, our lads drowned it out. The only period where we were quiet, and that's not surprising, was straight after the second half kick-off, 20 seconds, and we were 2 down, and it did go a bit quiet then. But it didn't take long for it to pick up, and after that, we were back in charge. What else? The red card, debatable. Another game you could have, it would only be in the yellow, but at the end of the day, it's a red. What I find fascinating as well is that you got Mike Dean today, who's claiming that VAR missed 3 penalty shouts for us in the penalty area. Now, Mike Dean's no friend of ours, and yet he's saying that those shouts were far worse than the penalty that Manchester United got at Fulham on Saturday. So so many positive things. I'm not going to go dwell on negative things, but for me, 11 heroes. Sorry, 15 heroes, 16 if you count them all, and it was great. And I think we've shown teams, as did Bournemouth, that Liverpool aren't unbeatable. Liverpool are beatable, and I think they'll struggle to win the league. Do you know that? The way they're playing with that right side of their defence is totally wide open, and I think they'll struggle to win the league this time. But great, and enjoyed being part of it. Absolutely fantastic, and poor Steve Hasty will be black and blue down one side with the way I was getting excited. So it was a great night, great night. Glad to be part of it. Glad to have seen it. It's one of those games you'll always remember, and it's up there with the Paris Saint-Germain atmosphere. Actually, that's how good it was.
Okay, good stuff, Magnus. What was it like in Iceland?
Well, I went out with a Liverpool friend of mine, so I was in a room that was split, into two. So we were all in each other's face, celebrating at our turns. And for me, it was a very proud game as an adopted Geordie. I'm so impressed with some of the performances. I mean. I wanted to single out Bruno's performance. When he got a free roll like this, he was outstanding. He was absolutely sensational. He was all over the place, showing he's grown a lot into this leadership role that he's got. And all of them played for the badge with their hearts on their sleeves. And I'm really proud. This is probably the best feeling I ever had after a game lost, because that's always hard. And yeah, I mean, Gordon had a great game until that unfortunate incident. If I am to criticize anything with that incident, is the fact that I think maybe Allan needed to be in Virgil van Dijk's face pressing rather than Gordon, because Gordon had a long sprint getting to him. And for me, when I first saw it, it was a yellow card, and that was the on-field decision. However, when I saw the Wolverine scratches, I can't argue. It was a red card. It feels that way. But they all played for the badge, and we should have won that game, and probably. How they even came to the conclusion that it was 11 minutes of added time. I don't understand, but we were winning at that time, so we wanted it. We had blood on our teeth, and we were trying to go for the win. So this is a team that tries, and a lot more than that. They tried all the way, and just an unlucky soccer punch in the end, took it all away from us. But I'm not disheartened by it. Upwards and onwards, we had two really good first games, and then now we just can. Well, I feel very optimistic for the rest of the season. This is gonna be something special, and long may it continue. Next game against Leeds, I'm very excited for the next game. And yeah, that's kind of what I take from it. That maybe Allan needed to be pressing a bit better and tracking back in that goal that came. But I mean, they were all trying to score, and I cannot take away trying to win when the game. Just so impressive to be battling them like that, 10 against 11. Very impressed and proud of the lads.
Okay, good stuff, Kev.
Yeah, could totally agree. Work rate, desire. What I said last week was what actually happened in the first half. Pretty much all game, really, and it was unfortunate for the 10, going down to 10 men. I thought it was a little bit late, just a little bit reckless. But for me, the other one, and I think Tom might be able to confirm this with the coverage. What we got, the commentators, what they were saying was from the VAR was Gravenberch's challenge on Bruno Guimaraes after 8 minutes was reckless as well. So Tom seen the same thing as me. So, well, if it's reckless, well, and he's 2 foot off the ground, like a scissor challenge. Where's the difference? And it was just that's how it played out. That was the narrative from the referee was going to be played out throughout the whole game. But outside of that, we can't control what he does. We can't control what we do. I thought, well, not being a negative, but I thought Harvey Barnes was probably not the best. I didn't think he had a great game. Yes, he worked hard. Yes, he provided some decent balls in, but that was very seldom. What I would have done is, if you look at it from my point of view, if you got Dominic Szoboszlai playing right back, not a right back, I would have swapped. Just put Barnes on the right side, put Langer onto the left side. Let him deal with some pace, because I'm not saying he hasn't got any, but he would give more of a problem, would be having more success. And that didn't happen. I was screaming at the TV to just switch them over, swap them over, and see what Langer does down this left side, because we know he plays with both feet. We know he can do that. But it didn't happen, and I thought we should have went to a 4-4-1. When we went down to 10 men, not playing a 4-3-2 or whatever he decided to go with. I thought because we looked too narrow. But hey, look, I don't get paid that money, so that was just my opinion on the shape side of it. But yeah, from what I heard on the TV was the atmosphere was fantastic. The endeavour was wonderful to see. But we've got to do that every game. We can't just do that again. We can't just do that against Liverpool. We've got to do it against Leeds on Saturday, and with less. Not first team starters, whatever, but we've now got a squad of players who can come in like Ramsey, like Chow, like others, who can come in and just fit right in and play like the Tonali's of the world, like the Fabi Shahs of the world, but they're different. But that would be an interesting encounter down there at Ellen Road on Saturday or whatever. But yeah, it was just a brilliant occasion, to be honest. And it's just sad, you don't want to lose. You don't want to see that end result. However, we've just got to move on and push forward again and rebuild and reset ourselves to go against Leeds and for the rest of the season. And I agree with George completely. Liverpool not win the league, and I said the scoreline flattered them against Bournemouth when they won 4-2, which it did, and the scoreline flattered them again on Monday night. And I don't think Liverpool win the league. I think they've got a lot more problems than probably what we have at the moment in time, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll just move on. We'll crack on. We'll dust ourselves down again, and we'll play and hopefully stuff Leeds on Saturday.
Okay, good stuff. Martin, good evening. What's your views on the match of the weekend?
Yeah, I think the lads have all kind of hit the nail on the head. I think the important thing for me, as Kev said, I think we've got to have that same pace and intensity in all the games we go into. I think, look, I get there was added spice on the game on Monday night because of everything that's going on with Isak. And, I think there was a heightened, I suppose, tense piece from all the fans and, Liverpool fans. We knew we were going to rub it in. I think the effort and the desire that went in, as Darren said, I don't think we can knock it from the lads. So I don't think there's many complaints you can have. I think what I would single out and look at is I thought was probably from your man Hooper, it was probably the worst refereeing performance I've seen. And we're only 2 games in already this season. I thought he was abysmal. I thought we should have had a penalty when Canadi wrapped himself around Joe Linton in the penalty box. It wasn't given. And if you see the clip from it, Hooper's looking square at it, 2 yards away, and nothing given. I think Gravenberch, I think his tackle was worse on Bruno than Gordon's was, and I think should have been a red. But as per normal, I think what we get with the Liverpool game, lads, is everything we normally expect, which is a heap of additional time. They score a late winner, they get every decision going, and we end up on the losing side yet again. So I think, Kev said we got to dust down, we got to go again. I think there's 5 days left of the window. I think we need to still get those reinforcements in. It's becoming harder and harder. I'd like to see the Isak piece kind of either one way or the other because I'm sick of it at this stage. But yeah, look, I think if we go in with the same setup, obviously let's hope the injuries aren't as bad as they were. But I think the other thing from the match on Monday night is the bench has probably looked the strongest it's looked for us in a long, long time. So I'm confident we'll put a good team out against Leeds United. That won't also be an easy game down in Ellen Road. They'll play well. It's always a difficult crowd, but we do well down there. I think we need to keep an eye out for this new midfielder they got, Shawnee or Longio stuff, some Italian guy they bought. I don't know, I'm not sure. But yeah, look, we move on and we go again. But nothing from a Liverpool game we didn't expect. To be honest, I'm glad it's out the bloody way, because I think it came at completely the wrong time of the season with everything that's been going on. So I think as a club now, we need to get the reinforcements in, close the window, and let's focus on picking up that first 3 points on against Leeds at the weekend.
Yeah, not long till we play Wolves as well. If we don't get this forward,
it's never ending, mate. Never ending.
Similar scenario. Great stuff. Okay, Pablo, over to you, mate.
I think the key word that everyone's mentioned is proud. But just to touch on something I've picked up on tonight, when Geoff revealed his Premier League stickers or cards, I've noticed there's still no striker in there. Maybe it's an omen.
Oh no!
I know, yeah. I was hoping for one to come out. That's by the by. But I think what Monday night was an excellent advert for maybe any strikers 50-50 on our club, or it's a great advert for what we're about. Certainly when we're under the cosh or the microscopes on us. And Monday night, it just goes to show, had we had that central figure, there were chances there to be taken. It's not as if we're not creating the chances for someone to put away. Now, there was a lack of quality, obviously, Monday night. I feel Alanga is going to get there, but I think his delivery and his final pass just isn't up to speed, as too was Barnes the other night. But looking at the game as a whole, what a fantastic showing from, first and foremost, the fans. The fans were unreal. I mean, I didn't get to the game. I was listening to it. They were absolutely first class. I think the way Eddie handled himself throughout the match, in the match, after the match, was perfect as always. The players, absolutely phenomenal. It's not often or certainly not often I've come away from a football match watching your team get beat, feeling more positive than what I did before the game. And I say that is because we all saw the night pan out the way it did, and Martin and Kev touched on it. When you're playing Liverpool, you might as well put 13 shirts on their peg. Hooper, the referee, questionable as usual. And yeah, that kind of momentary lapse. I mean, for the first, call it first period of the game, 30, 35 minutes, we hunted in packs, we hassled them, we bullied them. We were by far the better team, contrary to what the deluded Liverpool fans think on social media. There's no question in any football fan's opinion that we dominated Liverpool, and that was without a striker. Momentary lapse of concentration. Graham Birch has got too much time on the edge of the area, and there's a bit of quality shown. I don't necessarily think that Pope is to blame for that, because I actually don't think any goalkeeper would have saved that. It was that accurate or that lucky, which, depending on which way you look at it, it probably would have ended up in the net anyway. So I'm not a Pope fan, but I'm not smacking that blame on him. The fact is, he should have been picked up earlier on the edge of the box. I think the way the game panned after that, we kind of regrouped. Unfortunately, the red card incident, I would kind of disagree, and I've highlighted this with Gordon. This is why I don't think he's an elite player. I think he's a very, very, very good player who can change games. He isn't an elite footballer for me. And when I say elite footballer, it's not only about your talent on the pitch, it's about your football intelligence and how you carry that through. Now, these things have flashed up for me a few times with Gordon, the Tottenham, the whatever. So for me, in big games, when a player does that and puts his team under that amount of pressure, for me, that's not top level. But we've all done it. I've done it. I'm sure the lads have done it and the people watching have done it. That changed things dramatically, but I thought as a team, we regrouped well. Eddie adapted. We've come out, obviously, the sucker punch after half-time from Pop Noodle Ed himself. And after that, you would be, I kind of figured the floodgates could open here. We could be in a bit of trouble. Please don't let us wallop them and destroy our confidence on what we've done. And you know what? What an absolute joy to watch. The way we reacted, the way the players upped the level, the way they fought. And, to get ourselves back to 2-2 it was just like dream stuff. And even then, you would be forgiven to think that we would sit behind the ball and contain and accept a draw. No, we didn't. We went on because we knew they could be had. We knew we could have got that. And it was, do you know what? It's one of them things. The lads got his chance. He's took it. It's always going to happen with Liverpool. 11 minutes added on, you know, like you were saying, I don't know where that come from. But as we know, when Liverpool play, it's pretty much
the time there wasted.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's it, George. But I think the beautiful thing is with all this, lads, is the way we were feeling before it. We know, despite that idiot who's on strike, we have got an entire squad that's kicking ass, ready to go, trying to do the right things. And do you know what? I think we'll be all right. Technically, Liverpool, for me, in my head, is a free hit. If we could have got a win, fantastic. But like I said, let's not hang our season on one disappointment against Liverpool. And what we saw on Monday night should give all our fan base, yeah, we know the obvious striker issue. It should give us all a bit of confidence and a bit of pride in what we are. We'll be all right. The season for me starts this weekend. We've got Leeds, Wolves, then Bournemouth, all winnable games. Let's see where we get to. I was really pleased as well. The lads have already mentioned it. With the boys that come on under that kind of pressure in a side with 10 men, the new signings slotted straight in, you know, and that's full credit to them, the way they've just kind of taken everything on board and really bought into what we are. But yeah, to say our football team lost, mate, I've been absolutely on cloud nine this week from the reaction and what we are. But yeah, spot on.
Okay, good stuff. Tom, what was it like stateside watching that match?
Well, our normal pub at Toon Army, Minnesota had a private event on Monday, so we had to watch it at an Irish pub up the street called The Local, and it was packed with Toon fans. We had a lot of them in there, and they had the volume kind of turned up in the little snug that that we were in, not little snug, but the snug that we were in, and it was deafening. The crowd noise was absolutely deafening. I've flown, I don't know, maybe 3.5 million miles in the course of my business career. And my favorite person sitting next to me was Sylvester Stallone. I got to be next to him on a flight that went from Los Angeles to New York, a red-eye flight overnight. And he was talkative and I was talkative. He's a really good guy. And the end of that match reminded me of Rocky. I mean, the crowd was up. You see some of the players crying. It was just so emotional at the end. Knowing that the better team lost the match, and it was kind of cruel in a way, but you were so proud and your heart was so bursting for the players that were on the pitch that, it was really kind of I don't think I'm going to forget that feeling. Won't forget the crowd noise, and I won't forget the end of that match. However, I'd like to say a few things negative by the match, and I'm going to start off with Simon Hooper, who, I put in our group chat. When I saw he was the ref, I knew that we were going to be hosed. I just knew it because he's the worst ref in the league, period. And he seems to always favor the big six, always with every one of his calls, no matter who he's playing. The fact that Fabian Schär was laying on the ground with a head injury with Allison standing over his head waving, and he allowed that play to go on, and the side refs and the fourth referee and the VAR official that should have been in his ear, that's criminal. That's if the PGA if they don't accept him for that, there's a problem here because player safety should be paramount. The push on Barnes, two-hand in the back, would be a red, I would say, but it didn't need to be a red. It could have been a yellow. It certainly was a foul, and that would have put Kanate out of the game.
You would have been on red.
Yeah, it would have been two yellows. It would have been accumulated yellows. Yeah. As Kevin said, is on the feed inside the States, that scissor tackle on Bruno was reckless. It was reckless. Even the commentators were saying that it was reckless. I think that if Bruno cried a little bit more like Van Dijk and laid on the ground a little bit more, maybe he would have got that call. But the fact that VAR didn't even look at it. We saw the replay. Kevin and we saw the replay. We're screaming inside the place. And VAR doesn't even look at that. That's criminal. There's something wrong with this league. The two-handed push, look like Joe Linton was getting humped in the box, for crying out loud. 2 arms around him and nothing, not a call, not VAR. So I was so disappointed with that. And with that said, at the end of the game, I was proud of every player on the pitch. So you look at Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton, run through the wall for this team. Even Tino and Byrne is this team. We have quality players. We have paid players that were playing for the badge on their chest. They're playing for their manager. And we had one guy, and this is where Darren and I agree. We have one guy who's dead to me now that didn't put in a transfer request, went on strike, threw his tools down, and let every one of those players that would have ran through a brick wall for Eddie and for this club, let every one of those players down, let all 52,000 screaming fans down, and let the players that actually made him into the player that he was down. It just kind of made me sick. But still, at the end of the game, I was proud. It was a rocky moment for me, and it is now. So rant over, hate Simon Hooper, hate the bias that seems to be for the Big Six, particularly Liverpool. And I hate the fact that we have a rat that rumored was at the match watching that I think makes me think that Michael Owen is my second hatest player at this moment.
Strong words, Tom. Strong words, but I'm sure there's a lot of viewers agree. Allan, what was your take on that game against Liverpool?
Nothing but pride, lads. Most of the lads have said it already. Nothing but pride. And, you know, I was like going to come on and say the negatives, but I'm going to ditch the negatives in the fact of the negatives were the injuries and the suspension. Isaac was so close to having a great team. I slightly disagree with Pablo because I think now we can beat Liverpool at home. I think we can beat Chelsea at home. I think we can beat Man City at home because our team's good enough. And that shithouse, like Tom says, has let us down. And if we'd had him, we'd won the first 2 games without a question of a doubt. We played really, really well, lads. I came away with pride. You know, I was like, I think Kevin said, after the second goal went in, I was expecting it to, or Pablo, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be a really bad night here. Could turn out to be 3 or 4, but to come back with 10 men and dominate them, not just hanging on and getting a lucky goal and then dominating. And for Slot to turn around and say, you know, it was just kick and rush. It's not type of football. There's more ways to win a football match than just tippy-tapping. We played our way just like we did in the cup final. And we beat them in the cup final. We didn't beat them on Monday night. We're so super proud of the lads. Mentioned as much as Bruno was probably the man of the match. Tino, I thought, played fantastic. And it was great to see Lewis Hall coming on. We've got 2 of the best left and right backs in the country going forward. So that's promising. Malik Chow looked good. All of them looked really, really good. Jacob Ramsey came on, looked full of energy. We just need that two strikers, lads, to fit the puzzle. And we'll, like Pablo and Tom says, we'll be all right. I can't, after saying, you know, like coming in here really low, I'm just sick of getting beaten the last minute, lads, off them lot. It's happened 5-6 times in my lifetime. I was there at the 4-3 at Anfield. A few years later, it was, you know, when they were going for the title, they scored near the end. And 2 years ago at Anfield, a few years, that's about the 5th or 6th time they scored the last minute, and I've seen it. But nothing but pride. But moving on, we've got to get the points now, lads, in the next 3 games. The Leeds is a massive game, as well as Wolves and Bournemouth. They get rack them points up because no matter what people say, at the end of the day, we've got 1 point out of 2 games and we've got to move on and get our season going. And that starts on Saturday. And like Kevin said, it's no good doing it against the big boys. We've got to play like that weekend. We know we'll have stinkers. Every team has stinkers, but we must keep it consistent and we'll be right up there. Like I say, great team performance. Super proud of the crowd, and let's hope the crowd stays with the team. I hope, it's not the Eddie Howe brigade out if results don't go our way, but I desperately want a striker in before Monday. If Isaac stays, I want him in the stocks with Steve Bruce and we'll throw cabbages at them at half time for the next home game. But if he stays, he stays. And got to reintegrate into the squad. I dare say, lads, I think he'll be gone by Monday anyway. I think the club's made that decision, but we need a striker in, to be honest with you, Steve. So
let's start with you, Allan. You've gone into where I wanted to go next. We'll play the ads at the end. So, yeah, the Alexander Isak situation and the striker situation. By the time we come to do the fans forum, we'll be getting ready to close the transfer window on Monday. What do you see happening now? I mean, we've got less than a week left. How does it work out as far as you're concerned? Do we sign any strikers? We could have two, Allan. We could have two and one that we're not going to play because he's not getting a move to Liverpool. We could have one in and one out, or we could have one who won't play and is sitting in the hoof and not get any in. I mean, how do you see it panning out? What's in your mindset going to happen?
It's very difficult to know the future, Steve, but the ideal scenario for me now is I've always wanted Isak to stay. I believe he could reintegrate in the squad, but I don't think that'll happen. I'm praying we get two strikers in before Monday. If we get one, fair enough, we get one, but we need two because it's a long campaign. Sorry. We've got Champions League, we've got all, the cup games. So I really want to win for Monday. I just desperately want that to happen. Train of thought gone at the minute, Steve, but if Isak goes, I hope we get as much money as possible out of them, and so the little rat can chew. But his legacy's been broken for me, Steve, forevermore anyway. He'll not be remembered fondly, and I think it'll only be when he retires that you remember what he's done, when he's sitting back and you remember what's happened. But I think what will happen, Steve, is we'll get one in and use that will go.
Okay. Tom, how does this mess that we found ourselves in over the course of the summer, how does it resolve itself?
Well, Darren said earlier in the podcast that he puts a lot of blame onto Newcastle's hierarchy, and I'm going to agree 100% with Darren. Is we're probably putting 60-70 million pound bid in for players to replace Callum Wilson. And I don't know what happens inside the boardroom and what happens inside the locker room. Obviously, they don't have, but I believe that Isak, when he says that he's been unhappy for a long time, and I can't imagine him not making that known. So the fact that we didn't get a striker in early, any striker in early, put us in a really bad negotiating position, not only with Isak, but also with every other club that we're dealing with. And so now when you come into the 11th hour and you're trying to make a deal for a striker and people know that we're desperate, I promise you that we're going to be overpaying by a multiple of 2 probably. So we're not going to get value for the money, but we need to get people in. Who should they be? I don't know. I think Jackson is probably the best point for the money that we're talking about now. If you can get Wissa or Jackson for 10 million apart, I would go for Jackson. But he's not the answer. We know he's a problem in the locker room. We know that he's, I think the phrase is no assholes. Well, you know what? He kind of fits in that. But that tells you how desperate that we've allowed it to become. So, maybe next week after the window, we'll get a sporting director, we'll get a CEO. That's been the rumor. That everybody's kind of lined up. But that's not doing us any good to get us through to the end of the window. So I think we're going to bring in a striker. I think we're going to overpay for him. I think that we're going to be hopefully sitting on Isaac and getting him fined for each game that he misses up until the winter window. But I believe it's going to be a solo. We're going to get one other striker we're going to overpay for. Then we're going to have Gordon. I think one is the best that we could hope for at this point in time. And it's not going to be one that would have been my first choice.
Okay. Pablo.
I think I'd probably go along with what Tom says. I mean, I certainly don't think there's any way back for Isak the way it's panned out and the behaviours have prolonged over a period of time now. If it had been quashed early on, let's say it was, in relation to an increase in his wage, if it was quashed early on, there may have been a way back for him, but there's certainly no way on this planet that boy should play football for our football club again. That being said, I think Liverpool will come back in for him with, I wouldn't say a derisory offer, but I don't think it's going to be anything ideally where we would want it. And then there's a decision to be made of, do we get the bad apple out of the building? And I think the answer to that probably would be yes, currently. I think I agree with Tom. I think we're at that stage now of the window where we're rolling dices. These are not top target strikers that in a normal given situation we would have been approaching. So I don't think the club will be reckless enough to buy 2 Poland panic buys, for instance. So I think they will probably roll the dice on one and stick with Asula and Gordon and kind of rotate. Who that is, who knows? But having said that, a deal can be done in minutes. So, we've still got a week left or so. So I'm remaining optimistic, but there's certainly no way on this planet that Isak will play for us again.
Okay. All about opinions. Martin, what's yours?
Yeah, I think I put something on Twitter last night. Like, what we got to remember is we're not replacing the person. We need to replace the output. So we need to find some way of getting that 22 goals that we got last season or whatever it was from Isak, be that one striker and more from our midfielders or other areas chipping in, be it Elanga or whoever. And how we get that and how Eddie gets that, I think, is the conundrum. I think the problem we've got with the market is the same as the Isak thing. It's whatever the club values him at. So, what frustrates me at the minute is Newcastle go, we're going to put a bid in for Larson. There's 50 million. We know the price is 60. Cunha was sold from Wolves for 62.5. Larson scored a double last night. For me, I think he could be a really, really good player for us. He's both-footed, good in the air, bullet header yesterday. I think for me, he's what I would look. He's an old-fashioned centre forward, and I think if we can get the supply right from our wings, I think he could give us that output. So he would be the one for me rather than Wissa that I would be going for. The other problem that we've got is everybody knows, because of the situation with Isak, everybody knows we're bloody desperate. So there's an extra 10 mil going on whatever we try and do.
Yeah.
And outside of that, every other club is in the same position. So it's like waiting for dominoes to fall. Wolves are probably not going to send Larson. They're in for 2 bids for 2 other players there, one from Italy. They're waiting for that to come to fruition. So nobody's going to sell until they replace. So I think the next 5 days could be quite telling, and I think we'll get more frustrated as it goes on. And there's a huge possibility that we end the window with nobody. That's possible. So what we've got to look at as a club is, how do we replicate the output? Ursula took his goal well yesterday. If he's the one that's got to play through that, that's what we've got, lads. We're gonna have to do the best we can with it. It's not ideal in the Champions League season or any other thing, and go and working our way through to the winter window. But at the end, the striker market is a disaster this season. It's a disaster this window. So you're looking to replicate the output in what is probably the most difficult window with our star man, who is a top elite striker who has gone on strike, and every club in the world knows it. It's going to be a struggle.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chelsea continue to sign people in the transfer window. They are close to agreeing a deal with Man United for Garnacho. So another player moving. Seems to be easy for other people. Not for us, Kev. You're shaking your head. What happens at the end of this window? I mean, we will be live next Monday, of course. But what's your feelings? How do you think it's going to work out? What's your gut instinct telling you now?
I haven't got a clue. I really don't. To be perfect, to be honest, but I might be a little. I'll say more than that. To be honest, lads, I'm not just going to leave it there. In a weird, how my mind thinks. In a weird way, I think he'll stay, and I think he'll be integrated back in somehow, way, shape, form. Unless it's, I told you it was going to be controversial, Pablo. So behave yourself. Leave us alone. I'm not going to argue with you. But that,
Okay,
again,
it's not
that's,
Darren.
that's just how I see Eddie Howe playing it. I think he might do a bit of wonders in terms of his man management and get him back on side. Because it's glaringly obvious that we need him. And I agree with Martin about the transfer market in that it's a very difficult one now to buy. And obviously, there's going to be add-ons. There's going to be extra fees attached to it. There's going to be this. There's going to be extra more in wages and whatever, the full bit. So I can honestly, generally see him staying in some form or fashion. Yes, it's the way he's gone about it, the attitude and all the rest is not professional at all, and it's a breach of contracts and what we've all discussed and what we all know. But again, at the end of the day, I think. Obviously, yes, we need him. And I think and I believe he will stay. And I want him to stay.
It's football suicide, Kevin, isn't it? If we sell him and we don't get anybody in. It's football suicide.
And I'm just reading some things in the chat here that it's he's burning too many bridges. Well, yeah, bridges can be built again.
Yeah.
It's life. It happens. But again, like I said right at the start, I haven't got a clue, but I hope he does stay. But I think he will. I think Eddie Howe will pull a master stroke with his man and management.
Okay, Magnus, where do you stand on this then? How do you see this panning out with our transfer window? Does Isaac stay? Does he go? How many players can Newcastle bring in that forward line? Can they bring one in, two, or none? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can, mate.
Yeah, with regards to Isaac, I mean, he turned his back on us, so I've kind of turned my back on him. I'm not his friend anymore. I don't understand how you could treat your employer like that, and your teammates and your fans. He has no way back for me, really. I will accept it if it happens, but I want to go full force. I'm jumping on the Strand Larsen wagon because anybody that takes on that job is a lucky man with those guys around them. The two Anthonys and that midfield. Those guys that have chosen to go other way are gonna end up regretting it. And since that Newcastle are so impressed with Scandinavian strikers, if all goes bad, there is always Orri Óskarsson at Real Sociedad. He is available and is scoring for fun in La Liga, and there's also another guy from Lille, the same team as Jonathan David came from, the guy called Hákon Haraldsson. One of these guys need to be in the loop because they are a lot cheaper and they are no nonsense guys. These were just alternatives that I wanted to mention. Vlahovic isn't completely off the table either. I think he would be a strong candidate, but I'm very impressed with Strand Larsen, and with my father supporting Wolverhampton, it probably is gonna be a difficult one because he might be the difference whether they stay up or not. But I'm on the Strand Larsen wagon. I would like to see him get the chance with those guys around him, and it seems like we are not far off that transfer to go through. I'm really bringing my hopes up there, and Isa can do whatever the hell he likes. He's not my friend anymore.
Okay, big shout out to Jim, who is Tom's son. He's in the chat tonight. Nice to see you in the chat, my friend. George, what's your feelings then as the transfer window comes to an end?
You'll remember that the day that that idiot decided to do what he did, I said on here, and one or two people criticised me for it, that he was dead to me. I couldn't care less, and that hasn't altered. That hasn't altered. I couldn't care less what happens to Isak, and he wasn't a finished article when he came. He's got a coach and a team of coaches at Newcastle who put him where he is, and he's turned his back on the whole lot. He hasn't given a thought to the fans or anybody else. He could have left a hero if he'd done it the right way, and just, like most people have done, and would have done. But he chose to do it the nasty way. And how can somebody who stood up on that platform and at the celebration after Carabao Cup and do all that fake Geordie chat and all that rubbish, that just, he just died for me then. And so what I want to see is 2 strikers in, and I think we'll get them. Nobody's mentioned the very quiet work that's been done in the background to get Ramsey in, to get others in. Well, we've been arguing about that idiot, and I think that's probably going to happen again. We'll get 2 strikers in. I hope Isak's just left a rot. He's done it for money. Well, let's take his money away. If he goes on strike, take his money away and let him have 6 months without. He can always go to the food bank if he gets hard up.
George, I'm with you.
I mean, it just beggars belief that somebody who was up there on a pinnacle and could have been, I'm quite serious, in 10 years' time, could have been the next statue out in James's Park. Do you know that? Because that's where he was going. He's turned his back on all of that just for money. Well, let's give him 6 months without any money. Liverpool are probably banking on us backing down. Well, they've forgotten we don't have to sell it. It isn't a PSR issue at the moment, so we don't have to sell it. We could sit there and rot, and that's how I hope the club do dig their heels in. The last minute efforts yesterday for to go up and see him and try and persuade him to change his mind by Jamie Rubin and the other directors is very, very laudable, but too little, too late.
It's never going to work, George. It was never going to work.
Too little, too late. It just give him another chance to stick the knife in. As far as I'm concerned. So I think we'll get 2 in, Steve, but we'll still have an Isak at the end of the window.
Okay, Darren.
Well, for the first time, I've got to agree with Kevin. I would make him stay. And I would say, get yours back in training, son. If I can win the fans over. And it kills me to say I agree with Kevin. Usually, I never agree with Kevin, to be fair. Even when he's a coach, when he's starting football. So I can agree with him. I'll make him stay. I'll give him a 2-week fine for missing all the training in the first place. And I said, I want to pull you off here. Get back in the squad. You got anywhere till next year. I'll be harsh. You show a lot of respect, but and make him stay, make him play. And he's going to be unprofessional. It makes him look a right cunt. So who's going to want that sort of player in their team going forward? Not many teams would want that. And I hope I'll get the kid from Wolves, and that's what I would possibly go for out of the resale one. I'll vote for him. But I'll make him stay, because if you let him go, it shows like to your Tonali, your Bruno, your Joe Linton were weak. Be strong, so you can show the other boys we're strong. We're not going to be held from ransom and we're not going to be forced what to do. So that's what that's Simon George said on Talk Quote this morning. Why is Jimmy Rubin got in his house? Make him come to us. Do you know what I mean? Instead of being soft. I think he's getting away with Blue Mirror. I think that I don't know why the clubs are too afraid to fine him. And if he wants to leave that much, why is not put a transfer request in? Because he loses money. So when he doesn't leave at the end of the window, all you got to say, well, he didn't put a transfer request, did you? And make him stay and get him back in the first team. And let him come his tail between his legs and say I'm sorry, and then fucking tell the fans he love them, but he doesn't. So I would make him stay. Like I say, I'll play a bit here, but I agree with Kevin on this one today.
Okay, good stuff. Last but by no means least, we started the show with Geoff. We've finished the show with Geoff. There you are. For all those Geoff fans.
A resigned note there.
For all those Geoff fans out there.
Yes. Well, anyway, I agree with little Allan, generally speaking. And I thought it was time we had a little quiz. So I'm going to ask some of the members of the panel individual questions, like Pablo here, not Darren. Well, I'll ask Darren a question if you like. So, can our friends in Saudi Arabia watch me call their crown prince Ali bin Bonesaw? What do you think?
No comment.
All right, okay. Moving on, a question for Pablo then. How many people work for the club, Pablo, including, training staff and people selling tickets? How many people do you think work for the club?
There's a lot less at Man United, I can tell you that. I reckon 130.
Yeah, not bad. 790, roughly.
Close.
Okay, right. And, okay, who should we ask this question to? I know. This is a question for Allan. What is the population of Saudi Arabia, Allan?
5 million.
5 million. Right, not bad. 37 million. And here's a question for Mr. Steve Ray. Why don't they watch our football? And why are we not progressing very far in Saudi Arabia?
I think essentially they do like to watch our football, but they prefer to watch their own. They're trying to watch their own football at this moment in time.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. But we aren't putting the Premier League on, or the Premier League isn't being sold or put on as theirs is, because it isn't a drinking nation. The Saudi Arabians like to drink in coffee shops, and from our good friend Al-Walid, he says that they don't tend to put the games on in that way that they put on their own games. So it's a strange one. It's a strange one.
Well, if we played our games Monday to Thursday, they'd watch. Put it that way. Right? They literally can't watch over the weekend because they're doing their own thing. Right. Okay.
And would you like to answer my question, Geoff? What your feeling is with regards to Isak? Do you think he'll stay or go?
Isak's going nowhere except until someone gives us 170 million quid for him. End of story.
And will we get any strikers in by the time?
I think we should be looking. He's awake now. We should be looking at there's yourself, Steve, of course, and a bit more contemporary is Allan P, of course, and there's Tubby Brewster, is always available, and Mark Viduka's probably around somewhere. And while we're on the subject of Swedes and other stupid vegetables, remember Bo Hansen? He was a Swede who gave us the Lord of the Rings music and all that nasty stuff about the rabbits, Watership Down. Right, and I did notice our friend Pope has developed holes in his hosiery. Did you see that? No, that's not a good sign. And as for the halftime entertainment, I think they should revert to topless darts down there.
And on that note, we do not condone topless darts at St James's Park. That is Geoff's opinion, not my opinion. And sorry to any females in the chat. It is time to finish, Geoff. Thank you very much for your wonderful start and your even more extreme ending.
Thanks together, it's a terrible noise.
Thanks to Allan, thanks to Tom, thanks to Pablo, Martin, Kevin, Magnus, George, Darren, and Geoff. Thanks to you for watching. If you've enjoyed it and you're watching on Twitter, please jump over onto YouTube, search NUFC Matters, and hit the subscribe button. We do 7 shows a week. We are going to have the slightly controversial show in the morning for half an hour with Ben Jacobs, 10 till 10:30. Doesn't seem to be too popular amongst our fans at the moment, and certainly not very popular amongst our viewers. But I will have Ben on for half an hour in the morning, and tomorrow night.
You can get a word in edgeways.
Well, exactly, yes. You're right. Tomorrow night, though, it is Super Mac and Gibbo back at 6 o'clock. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.
Love you, Greg.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickys.co.uk, email info@mrvickys.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk.